Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI InterConnect podcast, where we sit down with founders, investors, and operators at the intersection of PropTech, FinTech, privacy, AI, and the real world systems that drive innovation. I'm your host, Laurent, and today I'm joined by someone who operates in stealth, scale, and in sharp execution. Olga Baranets is venture partner at ZAS Ventures and also a fractional CPMO, a chief product marketing officer, working with startup pushing boundaries in AI compliance and financial infrastructure. She helps early stage team move from product chaos to go to market clarity. And Olga, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Oh, it's nice to join you. And it sounds like a spell. Chief Product Marketing Officer. Thank you for that. I hope it will be spelled for success and scale for everybody.
CPMO. First time I hear
Yeah.
this. I love it. That's great. Olga, you're coming from Ukraine. And I think we'll talk about that. Let's start from the beginning. Before SAS or ZAS and Paystream, what's your what's your story? What path brought you into the world of early stage startup, product leadership, and compliance?
I think my past sounds very hybrid, like mutation, because it's really rare when people try to combine execution, operational work, and venture work. I think it started with my hunger with this curiosity, and it's my go-to tip and life hack for everybody to save your inner child curiosity. And it started with my first job when I was shocked how all of the top managers know what questions to ask, what decisions to make, so we will grow. And I was lucky to start my career in one of the most innovative banks in the world, even if it's Ukrainian. And from that point forward, I was always like, how to do that, how to do that. And it always better to start figure out things in a practice when you start building something. And I become like I think because I figure out that it's so cool that you can have this agile framework, lean design thinking, everything that helps you systematically to validate hypotheses and bring them to life. So there is no such thing like failure. It's just like you need to learn and reflect what is happening and not. And on some point forward, when I became a founder of my own startup, I started to be invited to be speaker and a lecturer for startups in a first incubator and acceleration programs in Ukraine. And I fell in love to work with this fire of founders who are like really dependent on build the idea of their dream to resolve some problem. And here's how I became this true role person, because I always building something and learning from the practice, from the execution, and then sharing this experience with the founders and work with the founders. And it started like 2015. And before Russian invasion to Ukraine, even wanted to create my dream is idea laboratory. Basically, right now we know this as venture studios, startup studios, product studios, and I wanted to build that because that was this period of like short period of economical state of the world where we had a lot of capital and a lot of resources and really rare founders in team who can bring idea to traction and growth. So I wanted to build this framework with a company who wanted to do that. And after Russian invasion, it didn't happen. I immigrated and I started looking for partners and for people who can build that, who want to have this curiosity, who have this energy to help people to build these ideas or to build their own ideas. And this is how I found ZAS Ventures, because in like main principle, how we work with startup pipeline is basically startup studio approach. And I love all of the partners, and we are all from the executional world, like having successful exits, growth, entrepreneurship experiences. And this is how I became here. But I always wanted to be part of building something. It's hard for me to stay on the strategic side of the venture business. So that is why I still join some teams to help them grow systematically. Here's how it happened. I think so. But in the beginning, it always was a hunger to know how to. And founders is usually the same people from the same source.
I love it. I love it. Wonderful. Okay, then yeah, let's talk about ZAS Venture from Ukrainian founders like yourself. And for those not familiar, what's the thesis behind ZAS and your role as a venture partner there?
First of all, we are Ukrainian team, but all of us based in different countries around the globe. Legally and formally, we are US based fund. So we have accounts, we registered in Delaware, um, we went through the program of VC Labs. We have like this US based company, like VC company. And it's important because we still understand that intellectual capital is gathered in US, like technological intellectual property is still in US, and you have all of the networks, all of the infrastructure that you need there. And it's like the base, and it helps us to like get funding easier. So we are going through that, but we are choosing to invest in Ukrainian founders who are scaling in European Economic Area, in UK, and in US. We still have a lot of them, and we are helping them there. Why we are choosing to invest to Ukrainian founders? Because like from my story, you can hear that usually Ukrainian people, like they are, how to say this, like we already passed this real world resilience test. So I think you saw a lot of reels, you saw a lot of like articles, how people, even with state of war, are continuing creating, are continuing developing. I think it always was the part of the Ukrainian culture that we always changing as a country that is developing, as a country that always changing. You need to adapt pretty quickly. So we have changes like almost every year in all directions. And because of that, almost all people who comes from Ukraine stays with this flexible mind, not thinking that, okay, everything will work this way always. They always trying to figure out how to change it because it will change. But why this change wouldn't happen from me? Why this change wouldn't work in this way? And we believe that this Ukrainian DNA, it belongs everywhere. So that is why our mission is to help and support founders, because we believe that it's a great fundamental asset to bring unicorns to life, like Grammarly, GitLab. It's all companies that comes from Ukraine. And this is how it happens. Like we truly believe in Ukrainian DNA to build next unicorns, and we hope to have in our portfolio a few of them in the next decade.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, talking about the resilience of the Ukrainian people is an understatement. Definitely, you're going through something uh, very difficult. ZAS seems to work closely with portfolio companies and you mentioned funders, but at a product level. And what does that actually looks like week to week?
There is two part of our work on a like regular routine. First one, it's work with a pipeline, because we have a rule of three metrics. Like I said, the studio format. We keep track on some potential great startups to crash test them, like to see how they grow, to see how they um, implement and do what they committed to do. And another part is like working with our portfolio companies. With portfolio companies, we have assigned venture partner who usually like taking this startup from the point of the building deal and then helping to grow. Usually it's like weekly meetings, but sometimes if we have, for example, like enterprise solution, don't need like having the weekly or even monthly meeting, because changes like go gradually and slowly. But for example, with B2C or some more dynamic business models, we meet much more often. And when we meet, of course, we go through regular metrics like how is your MRR change, how is your deliverability, what bottlenecks do you know? And for example, my specialty, like my vectors that I'm focused most of times is health tech, mental health, fintech. I know the industry and I monitor what is changing. So part of my impact that I'm bringing the updates saying like, did you count on this? Have you considered this change? And we're working through all of this. And as a side of this, that founders trust us and they can come with problems. For example, hey, I lost this employee or I lost my co-founder. What can I do? And we personally interested in helping them go through this, helping them to survive this startup death valley when you don't know how to survive when you first, especially if you're first time founders, like especially in this area. And if they lack some expertise, we also have a community of advisors who want to participate. Usually it's leaders of global companies or former leaders of global companies. And if this expertise can be helpful, we usually engage them to help to the team. So for us, I think that we're really, really close to like this holding company where we really believe in every team and every founder and trying to provide the much impact as we can. So for us,
Okay,
it's like
makes
regular meeting, but we still like monitoring and every partner have expertise in the different factors. So we are talking about that, especially of course in
okay.
about AI also, and we thinking how it's changed, which business models we should put more attention in. Like, of course, it's part of the work.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. It's very clear. Okay, then you um, you also act as a fractional CPO or CPMO, as you said,
Let's
a
turn it
chief
into CPO. I
product
think it'll be easier.
a product marketing officer, especially in a high pressure, early stage environments. And when a startup brings you in, where do you start?
Can you
As
repeat
a
the question? I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, when a startup brings you in, when you get a new client, where do you start as a
Okay.
fractional CPMO?
I started being an advisor and mentor of the startups in 2015. And it's kind of reputation that follows me. The fractional roles, it's not only roles that I have. I have a lot of requests like, can you crash test my pitch deck? Can you help me to raise money? Can you tell me what's wrong with my startup? How can I do that? Or something like that. And for that, first of all, I created this knowledge base, like these templates to go through some basic things. Or usually I answer even like in a chat, go watch this video or your podcast to go through some reflections or like spend a day without devices to reflect what is happening, calm down or something like that. Where is happening the deal to make some permanent involvement is when people knows me for a while, they trust my opinions, they trust my expertise. And with that, they trust that my strategic thinking and my involvement on this fractional level will be impactful enough. So they won't need me like full time because they know that this expertise will be enough and they believe that I will spend as much time and put as much effort as I can to this project to succeed. And with Paystream, with the founders and business owners of the Paystream, I have long-lasting relationships. So with the CEO of the Paystream, we worked in a health tech area 12 years ago, and we know from that period of time. After that, he spent decades being in a fintech field and he grew there. He had a lot of like long-lasting partners, context companies that actually help us to build the fundamental things like financial components, like technical side, financial components and expertise here. They bring us experts to build a team and also it give us partners to build like global legal compliance and financial support to scale really fast. So I think it's always like any partnership you will build in your life is like gradually go, I have this need. Can you help me with that? And it's like, okay, let's figure out how we can build it. It's gradual work to go through some iterations and figure out what type of partnership we will have. But for me, this fractional, I think it's like the closest terminology that we have. But for me, every involvement is a partnership. Like every work that I have, every people that I start interacting is a partnership where I listen, I hear, understand that sometimes I need to listen because my expertise can be not applicable or something like that. For me, it's always a partnership. But the form, how it built, it always a gradual. It could be principle, it could be contract, it could be like hourly rate or something. But this time it works like this.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I love it. I mean, moving from starting with a fractional whatever to a partnership, it's makes a lot of sense. But okay, then what do most early stage funder get wrong about product market fit or go to market in your experience?
My favorite topic
We can go.
to go through that. I think it's not only founders it's in general, all of the business owners, actually all of the people have this thing of being biased to their own ideas.
Yes.
Because all the time when we think that something great, we get really excited. And with that, it's just like trick of our mind. We're trying to find an evidence why this would work. And especially with first time founders, the people who never failed big, they fell in love with an idea. They found people who will say it's a great idea. And they started doing that. And actually, it's really interesting fact that all of the hypothesis checking test methodologies and frameworks, they actually comes from scientific methods. And only in the 20th century, scientists finally figure out a discipline how to check scientific hypothesis. And without going to some like deep knowledge of that, the main insight here that they finally figure out the main principle should be to figure out why this wouldn't work. So the way to work with your hypothesis and generate like with your idea is generate hypothesis why it might not work. And this will help you to like figure out limits, like this small target, this small piece of the pie that will like the most successful for you, the most working for you. And it help you to evaluate and make it like the most valuable one, to make it like more like prioritize it. And you will get a successful case faster. And this is what we are seeing with the founders around and in business owners, because they like, I have an idea, especially if they were lucky to get successful pretty fast. They was like, and then go back to systematic work and evolve gradually to figure out how to get these results. It's always the hardest point of this. And like to share this like really cool case, like lately, like one of the startups for the pipeline, they said, hey, we've done it better. We had 200 users and they gave us a lot of feedback. And now we know that we need to build educational platform because people do not know this and this and this. And I was like, okay, educational platform is the content, how you will convert it to the money. And step by step, we come into the realization that they offered their solution to employees, like to executioners, and the executioners won't pay because they will need to make these recommendations to the company, and the company will make a decision would they board this would they buy this software or not. With that, you said, okay, have you tested a need and the pains of the company that should pay for you, and what metrics would be? And they didn't. And they already put a lot of effort and money and resources to build the next version for employees. And for the decision makers, it basically should give like faster time to market, like easier execution, lower costs, or something like that. And they don't think about that just because it was easier to go to your colleagues, to your community, to the peers and start with them. But it's not the best not the best way to go there. When you start, it's with your idea, any idea, even if you have any in your mind to scale to the new market, first you need to figure out why it wouldn't work. Like I heard one interview with jewelry brand founder, and she told like we make a discovery and we try to figure out should we go to European market or to US market, and they put their bet on US market just because in European market you have a lot of tradition, and people usually like choose brands that your parents chose and grandparents chose. So it's like a traditional way to choose. And with new brands, it's really hard to penetrate the market. You need to go slowly. So it's much easier to start there. And I think to the all founders, to the all business owners, to say it's like the biggest challenge is to be adaptable and always try to figure out where is your hypothesis. With your idea, where is your hypothesis? How to check it right? Like I think a few weeks ago, I wrote in a LinkedIn and posted that, hey, founders, you need to build before raising. Before like 3 years ago, it was like fake it before make it, go big, pitch an idea. And I see her in a presentation, it looks really cool. Like, wow, it should be disruptive and so on and so on. And then like, can you show something? And we heard all of the stories of the book Bad Blood and all of that. Like, how can it go bad when you do not have an actual traction? And especially right now with all of this vibe coding and infrastructures, when you can build some MVP to test pretty quickly, like few weeks. I had a startup who had a pivot and traction in 6 weeks when they had idea to the first traction. 6 weeks. It's not so complicated, and they are not any engineers or something. So with all of that, like I think that for the founders right now, try to build and have a traction before raising money and before losing your job or losing your income, even before that, because you will lose all your assets. And then you have some small non-bias proof and evidence that your idea is working and it could be a viable business, then go big. I think that.
I love it. That's great. Okay. You mentioned it a little bit, but let's switch to your work at Paystream. And for those unfamiliar, what does Paystream do, and who do you serve?
Who I serve, it sounds like from a Star Wars.
The
Maybe
company
force
serve.
with you. Who do you serve? Yeah. Who we serve? First of all, as I said, I'm happy to be a partner with people who are in a fintech field for a decade, and they have really deep insights and experience in this field, and they see how subscription economy expands. It's not SaaS, like digital SaaS anymore. It's a model that goes beyond. So all car manufacturers start thinking about subscription economy, especially with electrical vehicles. And it's not a digital SaaS. It's totally different level. And we saw that in this field, we have, not to say like a bad reputation, something, we have this legacy platforms that exists like for 20, 30 years. And they're doing a great job, but still who worked in the tech field for a while, they know that usually it's like monolith infrastructure that it's kind of cannot offer you a better flexible ways to work with that. So we decided to target this, to target subscription economy and to build the best financial solution that we can for the people here. Of course, there are a lot of vectors how we can go. And one of my goals to find our primary target market. And right now we are on a stage of this private test with some of few companies because we just put in our core and we will move really fast. But we are serving to the next generation founders who would create a business with subscription model. Is it a
Okay.
city?
Mhm. I love it.
So just to repeat that. So we are serving to next generation founders and business owners who will try to build ventures with subscription economy, and we will target that. So we will try to make it the best solution ever. And of course, one of the challenges with this really rapidly changing field of AI to figure out how to offer them the best solution, because as we see, like we had all of the infrastructures to agent, and you're thinking, my God, it will be subscription between agents, not with the humans anymore. It's fun to think about, but still, we're building partnerships. I think it's like my credit today for our podcast. Like even with the customers, the users, we're trying to figure out how we can bring as many things to improve business as we can. And there are a lot of components, but I think you will ask me about that a little bit later.
Okay, that makes sense, and it's awesome. You're also very active in sectors like prop tech, uh, and you mentioned AI compliance. What trend or shift are you tracking? You're tracking most closely going into next year. Trends.
It's a very big question. So let's segment it. Because like compliance, privacy, AI, it's like huge.
Yes.
I think that I would love to start with AI, but I think that's better for me to start with privacy thing because it's really short. From my opinion, it's really short because when it comes to privacy, this is not a technical legal question. It's almost like existential. And philosophical right now because from like one hand we have this consumer behavior with global network with social media where your personal privacy can be reached for 100%. You can't. You just can't. Let's imagine you become a part of someone's stories. Somebody makes stories on the street and you're already on a video, or you're in a gym and some girl makes photos, or some coach make photos or videos or something like that, and you're already part of the story, or you exchange emails and you're already in the cloud. So there is no 100% of privacy that you can reach personally. And from another hand, especially with geopolitical situation that we have globally right now, we have this national and public security that is very, very important, especially as a person who comes from Ukraine. I know how it's important because in the beginning, we had these informational programs to tell people not to put online photos of any military or defense object that they see because it's like highly secure information. And if you put even in a messenger, it's not secure anymore. So please don't share that. And it's another side of that because it's huge risk for like national security. And we see what can happen with that. And I believe that we are entering a decade of new regulatory frameworks, like new ethical institutions. Like if you saw on Netflix the Social Dilemma movie, basically the main character is the guy who created this film is a head of a new ethical institution in US where a team works on an ethics of making some software available, especially for the children right now. We see how what happens around that. So with privacy, I think that we need to expect new regulation, new ethical execution, new educational programs, like new information. And I expect to put more responsibility for the companies and for the businesses to make transparent and obvious how people risks and what is the risk and what is the consequences for people if they use and share some of the information. We had that wave with GDPR where right now like people shown what you share, what cookies do you give, of whom these cookies are given and how they will be used. And even with this, I think people do not conscious enough with what happening here. And it's like, for me, it's something that I'm monitoring constantly and like trying to figure out what would happen. And it's something that, especially in a fintech compliance fields, really important to keep in mind because financial transactions is also very, very, very sensitive information. And like additional part of the work that we have is going through all the certifications and security standards and of course crash tested. I think it's what can I say about privacy is my opinion. If you want to, we can dive into more. But you had all other topics with that, so you gave me like this big question.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk 3 hours with you. We have to make it for 45 minutes. But no, I enjoy every details and your insights and I'm guiding you to AI Is AI changing how you evaluate product roadmap or even founder readiness? Do you feel like it?
Whoa, that's a great question. It was a roller coaster last 2 years because like first we had OpenAI and everybody started doing these agents like AI powered marketing tech solutions, especially of them. It's like 90% of the SaaS business that was created for the last 2 years. It's like MarTech. We are automating all of the marketing with AI. Um, and it grew really fast. But still, we had teams who came saying like, we are developing AI-powered solution for half of the year. Even like in the first year, it was obvious that these guys will fail because with vibe coding, co-pilots, and everything, the variability got short. And with that, you have a big operational challenge, but I will return to that. And as a side of that, that with this roller coaster, year ago, you would consider to put money in some agentic solution. But like right now, in after 2.5 years, like 3 years of this rapid AI disruption economy, we see that if you build a feature like AI agent as a feature, like for example, like I'm resolving only search engine optimization, or I'm resolving only management of advertisement, social media advertisement channel, or something like that, you know that they will fail because right now we see all of these agentic infrastructures and it will really easy to Facebook, Google to put the advertisement engine there, and people will be able to chat with this agent and put advertisement right away. So if you think about these solutions right now, it should be a principle of building a system, building infrastructure. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't build this search engine optimization AI agent, but you need to think about how I said about what advice to the founders I will give. Like, you need to think what impact you would bring to the companies. So if you will help to put additional knowledge and help employees on this stage, but what would be before that on this life cycle of the business? And you can cover all of the steps for specific like segment of the business, and it would be the great solution. And you will educate your language model for each piece of the business, which will make you impactful even for infrastructural solutions. And I think it will change again and again for at least 1 year more because it will stabilize somehow because we still see how many new game changers happening. And maybe the founders who listen us, maybe you are the next game changers, but still like think not about like, I remember that, of course, I talked about hypothesis. You need to find your hypothesis. You need to like choose a small piece of a pie. But here, of course, you need to choose small piece of a pie, but don't forget to think about bigger picture. What would be the next problem that you need to resolve? And coming back to the first piece of pie that I've told, so right now the AI solution comes and it's like, and we see that deliverability really quick. And like in a Paystream, we see that we are given the requirements, and it gives you a final software that finished like in a week. But you worked a month on the requirements. And it could show us another trend that right now, pretty often, it's much more effective if you have your mind understanding how LLMs and AI works to build orchestration of AI agents instead of hiring a person. And especially in a companies that are building right now from the scratch is a great opportunity to build this agentic infrastructure orchestration of the agents. And it's much more effective because you don't need to spend time on additional sharing of the context. Like you do not need to put all of the perspectives of two people and understand that you understand things correctly, that you're on the same page and you're ready to move forward. And it is another challenge because it gives us strength that we will have right now rapid disruption of sole creators that would be able to offer sophisticated things. And we have big companies that are fundamental companies for our world, like like manufacturers, logistics. It will disappear. We still need delivery. We still need food and some of the things. It will. But they're already really, really big and they need some support. And they won't disappear, but they will have additional ecosystem of AI companies around them to support that. And I do not know what it means for middle-sized companies, because I think it might like disrupt the economy to make like huge giant companies and some small creators companies, but we will see. Only time will show. So for me, I think that these fundamental things that we should know about AI trends right now, that do not build a feature. It might seem that you build a product, a whole product, but if you build a feature, go to OpenAI, vibe coding with agents, put it there, and that's all. Maybe you will earn something. But if you want to build a business, viable business, you need to think about the solution you're doing as a system. Because right now, you even like can see guys who I started with search engine optimization tool, but then I built 42 agents, and right now you can create any business using my agents. Like, so another side here that a lot of these guys offer poor quality because to AI agent to make high quality value for the user, the team should put a right context, put right data. And here's where we have a problem. Oh, I don't know. Do we have enough time? Because I have a cool story here.
Go ahead.
On the first company, like I said, I worked in a big bank, and it was one of the innovative banks in the world, and it's not empty words. On that period of time, in our company, we created a middleware solution that was created to help managers create services without the development. Do it seem something that we heard? Like, yeah, by coding. So basically, but it was a period of time when we just started having these terms like big data, personalization. So it was before data science generation, and it was big. But to make it work, all big company needed to move all of the software that we had to this AI, but not AI. So for me as a middle manager, to create, for example, paying by PayPass in a metro service, I needed to have at least 20 software solutions in a company to API, then to build a system to employees to get secret keys and so on, so they will be able to work with that APIs. And with this solution to make an orchestration. With time, this product became like public and it became a separate business. And I saw a lot of cases when this service was offered to the big companies, and companies, wow, yeah, we don't want to pay to engineers so much. We are ready to orchestrate the APIs that we have. But in that point, you have this problem that people clearly do not understand how much work should be put to make it work. Like how that all of the software that you have needs to be adapted to that. And from time to time, this integration of the solution in companies failed because when they started figure out, you need to put like 5 years to change everything that you had in a site to make it work. So it's not the middleware solution problem, it's inside company problem. This is what I meant when I say like big companies right now with AI. We see in a statistic in researchers that a lot of companies who put all their words and money on AIification of their business 2 years ago, like stopped right now. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's like at least 25% of the companies just saying like, we will figure out that later. It's not so important. And here's what we have right now, like for big companies and small companies. So for the founders and business owners with AI, don't afraid to search, talk to ChatGPT before trying to create something or choosing some other solutions because there are a lot of them and you can find the best for you.
Good advice. Great story. Okay. What are some of your the hardest problems you're personally trying to solve right now?
Prioritization. I think when I will have like maybe I will do that on the Christmas holidays. I would love to create an AI agent who will go on daily basis through all of my emails, messages, around of all of my accounts, evaluate it based on my priorities and focus and my calendar and provide me a summary because right now it's constant trade-off. It's constant trade-off of what wouldn't not be done ever because it's impossible to do everything. It's impossible. With all of the content and information that we have, it's impossible. And I think 5 years ago, I've already lived through this experience of being, of always feeling guilty because I didn't do something. When I just became first time like portfolio manager and so on, like I started having this situation when you never finish work. And it was a period of time when COVID hit, and I've already worked like 12, 16 hours, and I worked with US, like I worked like this 8 time zones. So I work like all the time. And through that period, I learned how to not live guilty and understand that some stuff won't be finished. But I also learned how to delegate, how engage team in a bigger vision to help them get ownership and do the best they can without me. So I don't need to micromanage. And right now, I think 2 things that the biggest challenge is find the right talent. It's really hard. Like right talent who will be accountable, get ownership, and doing their best, and they would love what they do. Because really try to build this servant leadership style of managing people. And another one is prioritization. Because you need to have your own mass behind it. Like, for example, you have I don't know, like we haven't talked about work-life balance and we believe in one work-life balance. But for example, you have your favorite sport today, or you have a podcast, for example, right? And you need to figure out what would be the most beneficial for you. And for that, you need to be not only in a business, not only in some other stuffs, you need to have your own system of coordinates where you have your values, and you need to choose that because with all the business, with all of this excitement, you need to not forget about your life. So I think this is my biggest truth right now. And always, I think it's for all successful people right now, like how to choose what is important for you today and how to start your week to not miss the most important things.
Yeah, beautiful, wonderful advice. That's right. I mean, work-life balance is
It's
also
illusion.
tough things to. Come on, you're so young. There's a lot of things you
No,
will
no, no. I
learn.
said it's like it's an illusion because we have this constant FOMO. So I'm really admire women who also moms because with that you always with the constant the guilt that you miss terminology like that we've got for some period of time that work-life balance you should have that, but in the real life you always trading off something for something. And the only thing that you can do for yourself to be happy is just to get to the terms of you choosing and being okay with your choice. And that's all. But you always will have a trade-offs. This is what I've tried to say that it's an illusion because usually when people talk about this, being efficient and waking up at 6 p.m. Before work, they go into the gym, they meditate 5 times a day, there's all of that. It puts so much pressure that then you fail in your own expectations about yourself and it doesn't do any good for you. So this is why I'm saying like find your own balance, like find your own trade-off. Because if it's like I remember some interview with Elon Musk when somebody asked you, what would you choose? 10 more years of your life or drinking cola? And he said drinking cola. Because some things does not worth to cut off in your life. Some things is better, even if it's not so good. So that is why I joked around that it's an illusion because it's a personal choice, and the only thing that you can do for yourself is like being okay with your choices.
Thank you. I love it. And Olga, all this was not an illusion, and it is real, fact, sharp, honest. Thank you for all this conversation packed with clarity. And thank you again for joining us at AI InterConnect and sharing your experience.
It was a really great time talking to you. I hope you will get a lot of good feedback, people.
Yes, we will.
Please
We,
be ethical.
I think the audience will love your insight and your energy and your smile. And we definitely will talk again. And thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
And that's it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. And if you enjoyed it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thank you, Olga. See you soon.
Jason.
Hold on. Don't.
Oh, it's okay.